Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Business Reimagined with the Nigerian Bar Association section on business law. My name is Tony Atambi, and I'm joined by Mr. Hanoba Etomi, the head of data privacy and digital infrastructure at GEP Law. And we're glad to have you here, sir.
Thank
Welcome.
you. Thank you very much, Tony. Thanks for having me. Glad
Yes,
to be here.
yes, thank you. It's a delight to have you. It's a delight. Yes. All right. Yes. So we'll just go straight into it. Yeah. So the topic we are considering is one in which has become the buzz in very recent years. Even though, of course, it people have been talking about it, but it has gained more prominence over the past couple of years, and it's artificial intelligence. With specific reference to how it intersects with data privacy. Of course, as we all know, artificial intelligence has permeated, our life, both work, personal lives, and we use the systems created by AI to further enhance our lives.
Yep.
And so, yes, and so one of the challenges this has thrown up, of course, is as regards data privacy in using artificial intelligence, and indeed, how we should navigate this entire process.
Of
And
course.
so, yes, so the questions we would be you would fill in would be as regards this particular subject of artificial intelligence
And
and
data
data
privacy.
privacy.
Okay.
Yes,
Got it.
yes, thank you. So we'll just go right into it. And so, how is AI changing the way businesses need to think about data privacy, and what new risks does it create?
So thanks again for having me. So AI, artificial intelligence in particular, it's essentially something where there's human input for you to get some sort of data output. So in order for you to actually get that machine or machine to learn something. So, machine learning is also closely linked to artificial intelligence. In order for you to get that machine to learn, input, you need to add some human input. So that in itself is obviously a conversation to have. So when a human being is telling a program or programming something or a machine, then essentially there are things that they need to think about when they are training that machine. So, what type of personal data is being used? So, data privacy in this case relates to just personal data, so not company data. The personal data of a data subject, so you and me, when we fill our information in the passport office, we are giving them our personal data. If they share that data and it's misused for something else, they are misusing our own personal data. So same thing with artificial intelligence. So that is something that we need to think about when, as a privacy expert, you need to think of, when you have a company that is setting up new technology that involves the use of AI, what are the risks or what assessments do you put in place to ensure that they are thinking of these biases and these things that may then affect someone else's personal data? So I don't know if that's correct. There are lots of layers to it,
Oh,
but the one that I guess we should focus on now is the fact that there's human input. So human is actually programming that machine. So that in itself means that that machine can be prone to the human way of thinking and the human biases. So you can see how that can affect the output of the machine. So even things like race, gender, those are the sorts of things that would change the way that machine is is produced essentially.
yes.
So
Thank you very much, sir. In your assessment, do you think that this is something that um, businesses, the corporate world is starting to give a lot of attention to? Where would you
oh yeah,
place?
100%. So even I guess even at our law firm, for example, we work with companies and organizations that use AI for different tools. So whether it's for task management, so it doesn't need to be chat GPT in the way that a lot of people think of AI. Like you can use AI for different things. So task management, reminders, so things that can even help with your company secretariat work as a lawyer and a law firm. So those are one of the things. But if you look outside of the legal world, you can see the use of AI. You can see how ChatGPT has already changed the world. Like a lot of people don't even Google stuff anymore. They just go on ChatGPT. It feels more personal. And that's the difference with AI because, like I told you, a person or people are inputting data and information that this thing relies on. Automatically, the outcome has a bit more of a personal touch. So businesses rely on, or how businesses, I guess, relate to their customers is through those personal touches. When you get that personal email, like not just dear sir, but dear Tony, dear Hannah, but like just little things like that. And imagine when a machine is essentially programmed to then respond to one of your clients the way in a language that the client understands and really relates to. So, of course, it's changing the way business operates. It's changing the way even the legal profession is going to start operating because, like you said, it's AI technology in general moves faster than law and regulations. So, because it moves faster than law and regulations, we need to continue to learn and also train ourselves to be more robust when it comes to working with these tech companies that are creating. A lot of these companies want to focus on creation. They don't want to almost focus on, or they can't afford to wait for regulation to come and then they now decide to get creative. It's like what's happening in the crypto space as well. So the blockchain space, there's obviously a lot of AI technology involved and mixed up in the Web3 blockchain space. And we can see the Nigerian regulation is a bit slower to come into play. Like obviously, yes, there's regulation out and there are different incubation programs, but then it's a bit slow to catch up. We can see other nations and other countries really pushing ahead, and you almost have to move with the times, even though you're already starting from behind. That's the only way you can even try to keep up or attempt to keep up.
Okay.
So,
Okay. Thank you very much. That was a great springboard for us to continue the rest of the conversation. Yes. So in your assessment, just following from with the initial, in your assessment, how do current data protection laws like
yeah.
the NDPR apply to HR apply to AI, sorry, and where do they fall short?
Okay, so this is a tricky question because technically I wouldn't say there's any specific area that speaks directly to AI. However, if you imply by virtue of like the use of personal data, because remember the Data Protection Act relates to personal data, then you can sort of imply that there is regulations that relate to AI. And if you just think of the general principles of data privacy. So things like implied consent, things like accountability, minimize data. So don't collect more data than you need. What's the purpose and use of the data that you're collecting? These are all the same questions that would be asked when you are training an AI model or machine learning. So remember earlier in our conversation when I told you that as they're creating these new things, human biases can go into it. So these are the sorts of things where if you're creating some sort of AI program, you also think of these things. So in the program, is there going to be consent? Like, are you going to let the people using it or the clients using it know that, oh, we are going to hold on to this information and we might use it to retrain or continue training our AI model? So I feel like these are some of the things that you obviously need to think about. So in relation to the law itself, I would say that yes, you can argue that you can argue that there are places that speak to it, but not directly. So if you look at the UK, for example, they're looking at consumer acts and consumer laws that are now speaking directly to AI. They're also like creating qualification courses for privacy qualification courses for AI specifically because you almost recognize that this is a niche area in itself. It changes the world. And if you're just going to rely on previous privacy laws, it might not have that versatility for AI regulations and what you need to think about. So yeah, the whole course is on it. I believe with this implementation of Nigerian Data Protection Act, it's just the start, but I do believe that there will come a time, and fairly sooner rather than later, where there's going to be conversations about specific sections or regulations speaking to AI, because they're creatives everywhere. They continue to create. These companies, global companies, are looking to come into Nigeria. These blockchain crypto companies are looking to come into Nigeria. They're looking to get licenses. So it's on us to create those regulations and frame it in a way that is like that's peculiar to, or particular rather, to our own environment and what works in Nigeria.
Okay, okay. Thank you very much. So, I mean, my from my understanding,
Yeah,
what this means is that we, sorry, our own regulators and the persons responsible for making laws and all of that, they are the ones that need to catch up because essentially AI is moving at breakneck
exactly,
speed. Okay,
exactly,
okay,
exactly.
okay, okay,
But at the same time, the general principles of data privacy would also apply to AI. So
okay, okay, okay. All right, thank you very much. Yeah. So I'll just move to the next one. What role should legal and compliance teams play when a company is building or buying AI tools?
okay, so we actually touched on this earlier in our conversation, and I guess we can go a bit more in depth. So, generally, companies that work with a lot of personal data, they would be required by law to get what's known as a DPO, so a data protection officer. So, or they can, have one in house who acts as the data protection officer, whether this is someone on their legal team or HR or whatever the case might be. So, the role of this data protection officer includes things like filing audits. So, the type of audits you'll be filing are audits on assessments or gap tests that you do. So I'll give you an example. Let's say you own a e-commerce company and you want to start selling a new product, but you want to do it in a way where people can pay directly on your website. They get your product, they pay directly on the website through this new platform that you created. So very simple, nothing too complicated. Just new product, new platform. And now what your data protection officer is going to do is you speak to them, oh yeah, we're setting up this new platform. And what they do is they now do a risk assessment on, okay, this new platform, we're going to look at it from a privacy point of view. We're going to look at all the different things that are going to build in it. Who are your third parties? Who are your API providers? Who are you potentially sharing personal data with? Are you sharing personal data across borders, or is it just locally? Are you sharing it within different companies in one multinational company? All these things are the things that the role of a data protection officer. And also a gap assessment is essentially where if you already have a product and let's say you were focused on the creation and you didn't really think about the privacy side of things, a data protection officer can come in and say, oh, during our gap assessment, we noticed that there could be a potential privacy issue with this product that you already have running. These are the steps you can do to basically get your compliance levels, your privacy compliance levels up. So that is the role that essentially legal and privacy officers can play in terms of helping companies get their privacy levels or compliance levels up to scratch. They can also obviously help filing those audits and things like that. So it's a whole new area, but then it's an area that has always existed. It's just almost like everyone's really understanding the importance of privacy now because the technology is just it's getting crazy. It's getting you have self-driving cars, you have so it's moving so quickly that before you know you could have flying cars and things like that, and there needs to be safety measures, and this is legal regulatory technology measures put in place to ensure that all of this is done safely because personal data being misused can be very, very dangerous. So
Thanks very much. As you were speaking, I was just thinking about all the many different moving parts.
Yeah, oh,
That
exactly,
yes,
exactly.
and I mean, I do think that
Yeah,
we need even more DPOs,
yeah,
like you have mentioned, because it would appear that, and I mean, I'm just speaking from the point of view of just looking, just listening to, it
yeah.
would appear that we don't have as much of these DPOs as we would require. I mean, when you look at it against the organizations who may require
The services,
this service.
exactly,
Yeah. So I mean,
exactly.
it just makes a lot of sense that at some point we need to you know
Yeah,
emphasize on having
and
all of
that's
this.
something
Yes.
that credit to the regulators. They're really, trying to tackle this issue. They released the directive basically stating that the Data Protection Act is going to come into effect from September, I believe. So, it's something that appears to be taken seriously. So
Okay.
that's a positive sign.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So yeah, I actually have a question for you this time.
Okay.
So
Okay.
have you ever gotten like during just election period, a random text message, you
Yes.
don't even know how they got your number, telling you
Exactly.
vote for this person,
Absolutely.
sometimes even phone calls. So
Yes.
when you think of how someone has misused your personal data in that way, where they get it from, who shared that with them, but also when you think of other ways that people can use that sort of information. People have your NIN, your BVN number, they have your banking details. So if these companies managing this personal data, if they're not compliant, it's bigger than just a company not being compliant and the company being fined. It could actually have direct effects on you as an individual. So it's definitely a serious topic, but it's also one that if it's embraced and the company embraces it, instead of seeing it as wahala,
Yeah.
another thing to be
A
compliant
box to
with,
check.
you actually find that when you start it and you build that like privacy foundation, it's easier to just maintain it and just go on from there. And you actually end up saving your company money because avoiding these fines, if you can get away with it in Nigeria, when your company goes global and you go to a different place, like you'd have to think about it. So it's best to just start now. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. Thank you. Okay. So I was just going to go on to the last one. Essentially, how can smaller businesses or startups balance innovation with compliance when experimenting with AI?
Okay. So, like I said, you can see all the topics are,
Yes.
it's kind
Yes.
of linked.
Yes. Yes.
So, I would
Definitely.
say for smaller companies, I think I even just answered it now. For
Yes.
smaller companies, it's about building and laying that foundation at the same time. So, yes, you don't want to like tie back your creativity, but if your creativity is affecting someone else's like human rights, then you could say there's a bit of an issue. It is possible to build something that can be used, or technology that can be used for good, and technology that can be used for bad. So it's important to put these checks in place nice and early. So um and the earlier you do it, the I guess cheaper it is for you. Like you're not going to pay millions and millions of dollars because you want to be compliant with data privacy laws as a startup. Like so if you do it from the start, it also helps you because when you're doing your pre-seeds or whatever it might be, you're able to also show that yes, we also take data privacy and compliance seriously. We take our regulatory obligations seriously, and these things really matters when like all these companies are looking at you, when they're assessing you as a startup, as a company, as a founder. So yeah, that'll be my advice to smaller companies and startups. Like build that privacy environment in your company as you're building your product.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. This, I mean, I would personally consider this a master class because so some of the things that we have discussed, they have
Yeah,
put in perspective thoughts I have previously had,
yeah.
prior to now. So everything just sort of links
It
and
ties in
connects. Yeah,
together.
ties
Exactly,
into,
exactly.
yes, yes, indeed. And just like you have mentioned, it's something that we should really take seriously. Beyond or businesses should take seriously beyond rhetoric and seeing the big picture, or, regarding how non-compliance can be a big issue for businesses, and all of that. Yes, beyond just trying to tick boxes.
Exactly.
Yes.
And how compliance can help them save money.
Save money,
as opposed to looking at it as spending more money.
Exactly, and protect their bottom line and all that. Yes. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
It's a delight to be speaking with you, and I'm really glad. I must say that. Can I say? I must say that this has been enlightening for me as a person. I mean, beyond just speaking with you, it's been an enlightening experience. I will do like I typically do. I will go ahead and read up even more because it has piqued my interest some more.
That's good. So at least I got one person's attention. So.
Absolutely.
So that's good.
And I'm sure everyone in the room will agree.
You guys agree.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. So thank you very much for joining us. I've been speaking with Mr. Hanoba Itomi, and it's been an enlightening session. I'm just speaking about the intersection between AI and data privacy. And I mean, this is something that we should totally give more attention to, whether as individuals or as businesses. Yeah, so it's been a good run. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot.
And take care.